Hey, Mercy, how you doing? Okay, I've got this work up here. Thanks for being open to offer your feedback on zoning logo. Absolutely, my pleasure. Don't even mention it. It's my pleasure. I'm genuinely wanting to improve this for myself personally, and I appreciate that. I've admired that about you since the first few days of our last class, where you're continuously striving to better yourself, and that's impressive. I really appreciate that, definitely. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the work. So the first logo. The first logo has a really odd shape to it, and plus this thing right here, this kind of underlined, it's kind of competing with the mark itself, and the elongated type itself that creates an unversatile shape. Unversatile. I don't even know if that's a word, but a shape that's not very versatile in that it's really, really long. Okay, so that precludes placement of that logo in a lot of the places that one would want to place a logo. Conversely, you have over here, you've got the type is stroked, and you don't ever want to stroke type, and we can see it very clearly here. The reason why is because stroking type changes the shapes of the letters. We can clearly see it in the closed counters in the typography, and we can clearly see it in the S. If the stroke lies on the contour line, on the center of the contour line of the letter forms, well, let me start by saying this. You have three choices with the stroke. You can set the stroke to the inside of the contour line, in which case it affects the inside, the interior of the letter forms by reducing the space that's supposed to be allotted. Okay, if you place the stroke on the outside of the contour line, it affects the negative space of the neighboring letters. And as we know, letter forms are designed to be depicted next to other letters, and the negative space or the counter space associated with those letters is just as much a part of the design as the actual design of the letter forms themselves. If you place it in the middle, it's kind of a combination of both. So most professional designers, myself heavily included, recommend to never, ever stroke type forms. Sometimes on screen, when I'm talking about motion graphics, sometimes you'll see it, but again, it's a very, very, very poor practice typographically, so you don't want to do that. Okay, so the first mark, now you change the first mark to this, which I think is a vast improvement, right? It's much more versatile in its shape. It's not so long. It'll be much more versatile in terms of placement. The issue I have with this, and I'm just going to be honest with you, is this technique is kind of forming a figure, a human figure out of a design element, in this case, a star. It's really, really old school. It's not fresh, modern, or contemporary. You see it all over the place in pharmaceutical drug logos, specifically since direct-to-consumer advertising became legal in the pharmaceutical industry. So we see it in all sorts of pharmaceutical logos where they take some sort of a shape and try to give it human characteristics. For that reason, I don't think this logo would work well in a portfolio because of the fact that it's just a kind of an overused, it's not a fresh contemporary approach. It's been overused for many, many years. And please understand, I'm not trying to be discouraging. I'm trying to really be as honest as I can, specifically from the viewpoint of a a portfolio reviewer, or in the ultimate case of a professional design hiring individual who will be looking at your portfolio with the intent of hiring you. Okay, this I think is too much. In this example here, you're asking the viewer to you're just asking them to process too much information. Let's look at what we have. Okay, so we have this shape. That's one. We have this shape that is also reminiscent of an A. That's two. We have the negative space here. That's three. We have the association of the A with this A. That's four. We have the little star dude. That's five. We have the type. That's six. We have the composition. That's seven. That's seven things in the logo that you're asking the viewer to process. Now, whether the viewer processes this subconsciously or consciously, it's too much. Think of the most successful logos. Think of Nike, Target. These logos give the viewer very, very little to think about. Okay, so it processes immediately. It becomes lodged in the memory. It's memorable, and of course they're attractive. So my recommendation is this type. I like this typography. I think the typography is good, and I like this relationship here. My recommendation is to try to create some sort of an abstract star or some other mark that works well without trying to this what's that word? Uh, I forget the word, but it's putting human characteristics on an element. I forget the word. I'm not even going to try it. But again, it means applying human characteristics to different elements. So trying to turn the star into the human, again, I don't recommend that approach. I do recommend trying to come up with a mark that's interesting, as well as if you want to try to come up with an abstract star or something like that, that's great. I mean, I'll be honest with you, even what would be better than this would even be just a star. Um, so I know I'm oversimplifying things, and that would point to Converse All Star. So you might consider a star with some other embellishments, maybe in a circle or something like that. But I really think that the logo itself needs to be simplified. I hope my comments make sense. Mercy, let me know if you. I know you're not currently a student, but that's okay. I'm more than glad to help you out. So if you want to make some adjustments and run it by me again, I'll be glad to make additional comments. Again, please don't mistake my comments for being discouraging. I'm not trying to be discouraging. I'm just trying to be as honest as I possibly can in this critique. All right, Mercy, thank you very much.